Am I the a-hole for calling the police on my client? I, 28 female, do babysitting on the weekends to make extra cash. There's one family definitely should have phased out by now, but the kids are cute, and if I don't have another job, it's easy money. My issue is the mom is never home on time. She used to not give me return times, but finally I started asking as it made it impossible to get anything done on the weekends. I'd go babysit so she could go to brunch, but she'd be gone from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. My whole day was gone. After that, she'd start giving me times but never stick to them. She wouldn't even call to tell me. She would just stay out. Then on Saturday, I got to her house at 6, and she was supposed to be home by 9. I told her she needed to be on time because I had plans to go out with friends. I was even getting ready at their house after I put the kids to bed. She promised. Of course, 9 p.m. rolls around and she's not home. I call her, no response. Text, no response. Another hour, nothing. Still calling and texting. Finally, it is midnight, and by this point my plans are long ruined. But I'm pissed and exhausted. I call her and leave a voicemail saying if she's not home in the next hour, I'm considering the kids abandoned and calling the cops. I also text her this. I try calling her 30 minutes later and it goes to voicemail on the second ring. I text her again and she leaves me on read. If she had reached out saying, hey, I'm staying out until next time, I would have stayed. I don't know any of her family nor the father of the kids, so I can't call them. I gave her a grace period of 15 minutes and tried calling again. Finally called the cops, non-emergency line. They showed up and I showed our agreement and text from earlier in the week, confirming that she'd be home by 9. They tried contacting her and she didn't answer. I was dismissed and they took the children to the police station. I go home and go to bed. Then I am awoken at 3 a.m. by a frantic call. It's her. Where are the kids? Why aren't you here? I tell her I followed through on my threat and to check the police station. She cursed me out, but I hung up and went to bed. The next day, she sends me an essay saying the kid's father was called, and there's a Department of Children and Families investigation launched against her. She called me every name under the sun, but I didn't think I was wrong, until I spoke to a friend with kids. She said I should have just waited it out and refused to ever sit for her again. She asked if her potentially losing her kids was worth me being petty. Now for the top comments. Not today home. One thing I've learned from true crime is the wait 24 hours to file a missing person thing is a myth. She wasn't where she said she'd be when she said, and wasn't responding to any communication. She was in fact a missing person at that point. You're just out here saving a life, Opie. Not stay home. Wait 24 hours to file a missing person thing. That notion is infuriating. What if you are shopping with your toddler and they disappear? Do you really expect the cops to say that you have to wait 24 hours before they do anything? Her behavior is absolutely irresponsible. She deserves a DCF investigation if she can't be bothered to even respond. If this were like some serious one-time emergency, I'd think, oh wow, a one-time emergency. Maybe she, for whatever reason, wasn't able to get back to you. But no, this is a repeated deal. Came here to say this. As a single parent, there are several things that would be red flags. 1. Lack of response. 2. What on earth as a parent am I doing that I'm not responding to my sitter? 3. Seriously, what was she doing to not be home till 3 a.m.? Even a date night / hookup. You are checking the phone to make sure everything is okay. I'm saying this knowing and admitting being a single parent is hard. It's challenging and can be draining, but it's no excuse to be MIA like this. At 3 a.m. she notices? According to her, she was ignoring my calls, and since I didn't know where she was going, she just said she was going to dinner with friends. The police couldn't search for her, just call her. Eventually she came home and saw no one was there. She was ignoring the calls of the person who was watching her children. You are so not day-home. That woman deserves to lose her children. What if Opie was calling about an emergency regarding the children? Next story. Am I the a-hole for letting my youngest niece live with me? My youngest niece is 16 and she asked me to fight for her to live with me and my husband. My husband was on board, so I did, and it pissed my sister off. My niece is the result of an affair my sister had while she was married to her other 3 kids' father. When my sister's ex found out, he left her. And my niece's father didn't want to be part of her life either, so she was left with my sister. 3 siblings who resented her because of how she was born, and I believe for a few years at least that her mom's ex should still be responsible for her. When she was 6, he told her if she ever spoke to him again, she would be sorry, that she was disgusting and not his problem to deal with. My sister has never given my niece the love she deserves. She always expected her just to be happy, to feel loved and wanted, despite most people not wanting her and making it very loud and clear for her. They fought a lot the last couple of years, on account of my sister not understanding why my niece was making such a big deal out of everything. I think what really made my niece want to leave is when her brother told her everybody wishes she was dead, that they wish she had never been born, that she was a mistake and a stain on the family, just like their mom. And my sister never comforted her or anything. Like I said, my sister is now mad, and some of the family judge me for taking her from her mom when she's doing her best. And part of me wonders if I may have made things worse. It's hard for me to see it that way, but with my family saying what they are, I feel like I need to know. Not Day-Ho. That poor child is innocent. Your sister is horrible, and her affair partner is a deadbeat. Who cares if your sister is pissed? She screwed up her own life and the lives of her children. Your ex-brother-in-law is also an A for making threats and saying horrible things to a 6-year-old child. Take her and give her the love she needs. They punished her for being born. They don't deserve to even talk to your niece. Your sister isn't doing her best. At best, she's being neglectful of her daughter. Everyone in her immediate family that should love her doesn't. She's completely innocent of her parents' affair. Your sister probably just doesn't like the idea of the image of having her daughter live with you. Oh, hell no. Not Day-Ho. I will never understand how a bunch of adults can be that cruel to a child for something that could never be their fault. And I can understand the pain from being cheated on. But to threaten a 6-year-old like that? You really have to be special kind of messed up. Seems you are the only one that actually cares about that poor girl. Please protect and love her as they all should have all this time. Yet you read that all the time on Reddit. Some poor kid is born as the result of an affair, and some people blame the kid. For what? Being born? It's the height of cruelty and makes no sense whatsoever. Not Day-Ho. Your sister sucks, and your niece is lucky to have someone who loves her and willing to support her. She's being mistreated in that house. Why do children always seem to be getting punished for an adult's decision? Because the adults are awful people who don't own up to their mistakes and would rather shift the blame. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not taking my niece and nephew out on Halloween? I, 32 female, work as a paramedic and work 10-hour shifts. We are short-staffed at the moment, and I am working the overtime that is given. My niece, 4 female, and nephew, 5 male, are all set and ready for going out on Halloween. My sister and brother-in-law work different hours, and will reach out to me if I am available. Halloween is coming up, and they are traveling Saturday for a funeral and will be returning Monday. They did ask me if I could watch them, and I told them that I was working a 10-hour shift Saturday. Sister and brother-in-law think I work too much and don't spend a lot of time with the niece and nephew. Niece and nephew will be staying with our parents. 3 coworkers called out for Sunday and they filled 2 of the slots. So I told them that I would take/cover the shift for Sunday. My mother asks me if I could take them out on Halloween. I told them that I could not, as I had to work until midnight. She calls me and says that I will be ruining their first Halloween. I tried to explain that work is short-staffed and is a priority. My sister texted me a few times calling me a horrible aunt and to change my priorities to my niece and nephew. Not Day-Ho. This subreddit drives me insane, and yet I can't stay away. What in the absolute heck is wrong with people? 1. It's your life. Work as much as you want/need to. 2. Time with your niece and nephew is great, but it is not an obligation. 3. If your area is anything like mine, we need every damn paramedic we can find. 4. Thank you for the work you're doing. Always, but particularly now. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to scream into a pillow. Lol, I totally get what you were saying. This sub can make me so mad. And yet, here I am. Am I the a-hole if I find all of the a-holes from here and yell at them? Sister and brother-in-law think I work too much and don't spend a lot of time with niece and nephew. They aren't your kids, so what if you work too much? She calls me and says that I will be ruining their first Halloween. Not really. The funeral isn't your fault or your sister/brother-in-law's fault. Life happens. Why aren't your parents taking the kids? Grandparents usually love to be involved in things like that, especially first-time events. My sister texted me a few times calling me a horrible aunt and to change my priorities to my niece and nephew. Same argument can be applied to your sister/brother-in-law. They should prioritize their kids' Halloween experience over a funeral. Exactly. Like, if my brother decides to have kids, I should use that to determine my career choice? Obviously not. I'm the only one of my siblings to have kids and I have never asked them to babysit. They didn't choose that. It's awesome when they spend time with my kids since my kids adore them, but it's not an obligation. You have work. It's important to work, but that doesn't even matter. Also, you could have plans and those plans could be staying home alone, and it's still okay to say no. Why can't your mom take them? Also, why is a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old having their first Halloween this year? I like the part about how your sister and brother-in-law think you need to spend more time with their kids. Translation? They want more free babysitting. These aren't your children, nor do they need to be your priority. They sometimes call me right in the middle of the shift to watch the kids. Next story. Am I the a-hole for calling CPS and the police on my friend? This happened a few weeks ago and I'm wondering if I'm the wrong. I, 24 female, have a now ex friend, 20 female, who I call Susie, who's got a little boy, 3, who I call Timmy. A few weeks ago, she came to my apartment asking if I could watch her son for a bit, and I said no because I was busy. An hour later, she came back asking again, and I said yes, but only for an hour. So me and Timmy are having a fun time playing when she came back asking if I could watch him for a few more hours. I said fine, because he's a lovely boy, and I had a time. 2 hours passed and I called her to know when she's picking him up. No answer. I texted, I called numerous times with no answer. When I get a text on my way, 3 to 4 hours passed, she still hasn't picked him up. No calls, no text, nothing. Also, Susie's an addict. Now I'm mad because Timmy misses his mama and started getting fuzzy. So I called her again and again, but I just get a text back just a few more minutes, which was a total lie. I put Timmy in bed because now it was getting close to midnight, when I got a call from Susie asking if it's possible to leave him here for the night, and she would pick him up in the morning. I said no, because I didn't have anything for a night for him, like clothes, and said you have to pick him up now. She didn't show up, but I got a text from her promising me she would pick him up early in the morning, which surprised she didn't. Now I'm really pissed because I felt used. I called her 40 times and sent 50 text messages with no response. So I called the police asking what I could do, and they called CPS asking me for the whole situation. Afterwards, CPS called Susie's mother, who came to pick him up. An hour after her mother came to pick up Timmy, I got a call from Susie saying she's on her way. I told her everything, and she called me a witch and an a-hole for doing that to her. My grandma said I did nothing wrong, but a few mutual friends said that I am. So, am I the a-hole? Edit. I have to say that I texted her saying that I will call the police if she doesn't answer me. Also, I suffer from depression and PTSD. I'm good with kids for a few hours, but that was too much. It's her child, her responsibility. If she's not providing adequate care, that's her problem. I wonder if her mother cut her off on babysitting for similar reasons. That poor baby. I'm so glad that the authorities have her flagged now. It's not okay to abandon your kid with someone who has not consented. Literally, what else were you supposed to do? She lied to your face and abandoned her kid. You made a right call. Not today, home. Hopefully the kid can go live with his grandma. The mom sounds awful. And yes, she used you as a free babysitter so she could go and do her own thing. She didn't ask her mom to take care of the kid for a reason. You agreed to babysit for an hour, not an entire day. The situation requires the involvement of CPS. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for rubbing a painful truth in my parents' faces? My half-sister got married in July, and my family was all there. Me and my brother and sister didn't really want to go, but our parents made us. We didn't want to go because the three of us always felt like our half-siblings, half-sister is 27 and half-brother is 24, didn't really want us around. My parents always dismissed that. Mom said she knew her kids and that, of course, they wanted us around. We're their family. It was actually fights between me and them because I said at 17 I should have the choice not to go, and they disagreed. After the wedding, my parents tried to buy a couple of wedding photos from the photographer, but it turned out my half-sister and her husband had the photographer delete all the blended family photos. The only ones she kept were her parents, and full brother. Some with our mom and their dad's side of the family where me and my brother and sister weren't included, and all her husband's side's photos. So she had the photographer delete every photo with us and my dad and them for her side. My mom was so upset. She at first blamed the photographer, but he told mom it was at the request of the bride and groom. My half-sister said she had no use for the photos they had deleted and they only wanted to keep the ones they wanted. My half-brother told mom it didn't make sense to keep photos that only she would care about. She asked about me, my siblings, and dad. It is said our feelings were not a priority for his sister or for him. My parents were both upset by the whole thing. My younger sister cried so hard too. She really got her hopes up because of what our parents said, and to have the whole thing blow up like this was hard on her. Plus, they talked about buying the photos to her and how nice it would be to look back on those photos and have some in our house. I told my parents they should have listened to us better. That they hurt my sister because they wanted to just believe, instead of stopping to think that the fact 3 out of 3 of their kids together felt this way might warrant some discussion. My parents are mad at me for rubbing their faces in it. I so badly wanted to say I told you so, but I didn't. But I'm pissed at them because of how my sister is now feeling dumb for believing in the people she should believe in. And my brother is thinking about the hours wasted at the wedding when he could have been having fun with his friends. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. That's the few people you don't need to send Christmas cards to. Inviting you, having you pose for photos, then deleting them without offering them to you is about as clear as please buzz off forever. I think you can bump both of them to no contact status. And to save you a post in a few years, they can get their own freaking babysitters. I think it's better to keep contact, so that when they need something in a few years, you can tell them your feelings are not my priority at this time. Oh yes, the pettiness of the long game. If they can stand the additional headache this event will inevitably bring up in the next months and years, I definitely have Opie and siblings hold on as low contact, before mic dropping and moonwalking away into no contact. Your parents have been idealizing their family dynamic. In denial. They now know that you're right and are acting out in heartbreak. Not today, home. Your parents were optimistic and your half-sister was just mean. To think that someone would behave in such a spiteful way on her own wedding day is sad. At least when any one of you 3 gets married, if you do, or with any other social events, you can dispense with having your half-sister around.
Am I the a-hole for not caring my ex is upset about the dream life I am giving my current partner? I, 34 male, share a 13-year-old daughter and a 10-year-old son with my ex, 37 female. I have a 2-year-old son with my current partner, 29 female, who is also pregnant with our second kid. For background, my parents were both doctors but died in a small plane crash when I was 14. There was a lawsuit, and they had assets that were placed in a trust I received when I turned 18. Therefore, at 18, I inherited a pretty substantial amount of assets. I met my ex when I was starting college at 17. She got pregnant 3 years into dating. She wanted to be a stay-at-home mom like her own mom. I was supportive of that. But she did not do the activities that typically come with being a stay-at-home mom. Cooking, cleaning, managing the household, etc. I offered to hire some help, but she did not want strangers in the house. We unexpectedly got pregnant with our son, and I told her something had to give. I was working and looking to go to grad school soon. The solution was to move closer to her parents, and I got into grad school there and was accepted. So we moved. There was a particular house near my in-laws that both of us really loved. I originally showed it to my ex, and she loved it. It was on a large corner lot, and we each dreamt of buying it if it became available. But no plans were in place to buy it. Prior to our son being born, the discussion we had was that she would get a job once both kids were in school. When our son started all-day pre-K, I suspected she would look for a job, but she refused. We fought about this for a year. We divorced. We split custody, and I paid child support. About a year after our divorce, I met my current partner. Since getting pregnant with our son, she has been a stay-at-home mom. About 4 months ago, the house my ex and I dreamt about buying came on the market. We made an offer and it was accepted. We just spent Christmas there with all the kids. This past week, my ex called me pretty irate. She is mad I bought our house and that she heard from the kids that we are considering whether my partner will stay home permanently. They overheard a conversation we had with adult family members at Christmas. She says I am giving my partner her dream life. I laughed and told her that, beyond what affects our kids, I have no concern for how she feels, and hung up. According to my kids, she has been pretty upset. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. As long as your current partner knows it's your ex's dream home too, not the a-hole. The main reason I would tell her is, your ex is jealous and will gripe at your partner too. It comes across as if your ex married you for money. That sucks if true. Sounds like you upgraded to someone who sees the world like you do. That's good. Be mindful of your kids though. If your ex is mad enough, she may try to alienate your kids from you. Not the a-hole. Your ex can go pound sand. I totally agree. OP should make sure their current partner knows the backstory, especially if the ex might cause trouble. It appears like OP has found someone who's a better match, which is great. I just hope OP keeps an eye on the kids. The ex might try to stir things up with them, and they don't need that. Not the a-hole. I understand wanting to be a housewife and stay-at-home mom, but that comes with jobs she needs to do, like cooking, cleaning, and childcare. Obviously, you should help, but the bulk falls on her. She doesn't want to do any of that, from your post it seems. She has no say in your life beyond the kids. As for the house situation, if it's a nice house, who the heck cares? Being a stay-at-home mom or housewife is a valid choice, but it comes with responsibilities. From this post, it seems like she's not willing to do her part, which isn't fair to OP. And as for the house, if it's a good home for OP and the kids, why should it matter? However, it seems like the ex is just looking for reasons to complain. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. A 20-year-old found an orphaned soon-to-be-rich 17-year-old and had her lifestyle paid for until she was 31. Then, after 7-ish years of not performing the role of stay-at-home mom or allowing help for OP, effectively making his life harder, she refused to get a different job and contribute that way. OP moved on. That is the end of the ex's right to be involved. That said, buying a house you and your ex had talked about was a little callous, especially as it was near her parents. It makes it seem like she was just a prop in your life. That said, it sounds like your new wife takes on stay-at-home mom as the hard job it is, so keeping that role, especially as with shared custody, there are now 4 kids to feed and clean up after, not 2, makes sense. But discussing sensitive topics within earshot of your shared kids is not smart. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my ex to give me full custody of our kids if she wants my help and saying that's the only help I'd ever offer her? I, 34 male, have 2 sons, 11 and 9, with my ex, 34 female. We broke up after I found out she had been cheating on me with this guy, Luke. She didn't fight me on it until she told Luke she was pregnant and he disappeared. Then she told me the baby was mine and we should try to make it work. I told her we'd need a DNA test, but regardless, we were never getting back together. She had her daughter and DNA proved she wasn't mine. We weren't married, so it made things less complicated regarding birth certificates and such. She did try to put my name on her daughter's birth certificate anyway, but was told she could not. Our co-parenting relationship was so high conflict that we ended up needing to communicate through a parenting app only, and a court signed off on this. Unless there is an emergency, of course. We can try to text, email, or call, but the other party is not required to acknowledge it unless it's an emergency. She hated it because she wanted to wear me down into accepting her daughter, but I did not. About 2 years later, she dated a guy called Sean, and suddenly Sean was her daughter's real dad, and I had peace, which was nice. But they also tried to cause troubles with my sons. Luckily, my boys and I had such a good relationship that my ex and Sean couldn't come between us. My ex and Sean were together for about 2.5 years, maybe 3. He got her pregnant and then they had a son and he left. My ex yet again tried to get me to take on other children. She tried to poison our children against me. The courts ordered her to attend therapy and parenting classes. Custody was not changed. We always had 50-50. But she was told there would be monetary fines if she engaged in alienation again. I was also able to get our children therapy at this point. Anytime one of our boys had an event, it was difficult for a while. My ex would try to sit near me and she had convinced her daughter that I'm her dad. I told my ex to correct it because I wasn't going to take on her daughter so she wouldn't feel bad. Her son was too young to really know what was going on. I did try for more/full custody on 4 different occasions over the way my ex was trying to use our sons and was creating more problems and mess for them. Even with a therapist saying the kids really hated being with their mom and they'd have more stability with me, the 2 judges we have seen so far have refused to change custody from 50-50. And that's where I lead into the next part. So my ex is now married and she has another daughter, and this one is with her husband. Before the child they shared, he was okay with her other 2 kids. Now he doesn't want to know them. Even I can see that during very brief and limited interactions, but she texts me about it, and I never respond. One of the 4 attempts at custody was when she admitted her house is hell and how much her kids are suffering because of it. But the judge still denied me. Anyway, she wants me to be there for her other 2 kids. I still say no. She told me she needs my help. This is when I said the only help I would give is taking full custody of our boys. She freaked out and told me I shouldn't separate them from their family and get in the way of the sibling relationship, which honestly to me, my boys don't seem to have a close or otherwise involved relationship with any of their 3 half-siblings. The therapist even stated this. But my ex is calling me an ass and saying I shouldn't take such a hard stance and should be helping for our son's sakes. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. What a crappy situation for you and your sons. Your best bet is to not interact at all outside of issues with your sons. I hope things get better. Sometimes judges suck. I tried to do just that, and until I replied to all this after ages of getting texts about it, all I did communicate with her about was our boys. Wow, what a mess. I would say not the a-hole and hope that instead of her having 5 kids at her house, only having the 3 there might calm things down over at her house. In any case, whatever is best for your sons is your priority. Good luck. It won't be better for 2 of her kids, but at least my sons would be out of that messy and toxic dynamic she has built over there. Does this woman know where babies come from? She needs to stop breeding. She knows. She just doesn't seem to care about stopping the stream of babies she's having. Is she at least a good mom to your 2? Or is she as much as a mess I imagine? I feel bad for you and your kids. Some people are just crazy town banana pants. But also, I will literally pay for her birth control. She's not as good of a mom as our kids deserve. I know parents who are worse than her, but our boys deserve a lot better. Next story. Am I the a-hole for sending my ex's new girlfriend a screenshot of him trying to get with me? Some background. My ex and I were together for 13 years and have a few kids together, the youngest being 2. We separated a year ago and have tried our best to maintain a decent friendship for the kids. However, he goes in cycles where we get along until he tries to sleep with me or get us back together. When I refuse, he insults me, gets mad, and blocks me for a few days or a week. Whatever. He's a so-so parent. Anyways, a few months ago, he had the kids for a few hours. Before and when I dropped them off, he texted me and made remarks about wanting to take me out and sleep with me. I do not entertain any of it. When I picked my kids up after a few hours, they informed me that they had met his girlfriend. It was a disaster, and he tried to bribe and beg our oldest not to tell me. I don't care that he has a girlfriend, but I did try to ask him why he was talking to me that way if he was seeing someone serious enough to bring around his family, because that's not like him. Instead of ignoring the question or answering, he decided to ignore me. But more importantly, he ignored his kids for the next 2 months, only seeing them for 4 hours total. He wouldn't return their calls or messages. I was really upset and hurt one night, so I sent a screenshot of the text he sent me on the day my kids met his girlfriend to her IG and told her, since she's okay being with a man who doesn't see his kids anymore, then she is probably okay with dating a man who cheats too. I then blocked her from messaging me back. 2 days later, he was back to seeing his kids on scheduled times and talking with them. I don't know why, but I have been feeling so guilty about it. I almost feel bad that I may have ruined his relationship. I hate that after all the BS that's been done to me, I don't like the idea of hurting him or somebody else getting hurt in the mix. Did I do the wrong thing? Not the a-hole. He is being disrespectful to you, his girlfriend, and your kids. You didn't ruin his relationship. He did it to himself with his actions. Exactly, not the a-hole. He created this mess with his own behavior. Disrespecting you, his girlfriend, and even his kids? That's on him. You didn't ruin anything. He's just dealing with the fallout of his own bad choices. If anything, his girlfriend deserved to know who she's really dealing with. Hopefully, this wake-up call pushes him to be a better parent, though I wouldn't hold my breath. Not the a-hole. If his relationship is ruined, it wasn't you who ruined it. By sending the screenshot to his now probably ex-girlfriend, he may just realize he is wasting his time and stop harassing you. The kids met her, so she knows he has children. I wouldn't date someone that didn't see their kids regularly, unless they were fighting tooth and nail to see them. So I don't see her as exactly innocent. Of course, he may have blamed Opie for him not seeing them. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband that I don't want to be a single mom of 3 kids? My husband, 42 male, and I, 31 female, have been married for 12 years. We have 2 kids, 8 male and 4 female. Our marriage is not great. His mother and sister often give unsolicited advice on my parenting, our marriage, and life in general. It has gotten better in the last few months since I sat down with my husband multiple times and we talked. And this time, he actually listened, so they backed off. Not completely, but it is better. In the last few weeks, my husband started mentioning having a 3rd child, which fills me with dread. I love children and always wanted a big family, but it would be too much. I cook, clean, take care of the kids, and work part-time from home. He doesn't really help with the house, which I'm fine with, nor with the kids, which is a problem. I changed all the diapers, woke up at night, and took care of fevers, doctor appointments, school, playdates, everything. The mere thought of now going through another pregnancy and then taking care of a baby makes me want to cry. I know I would have to do it all practically alone because my husband provides and women have been doing it for centuries. I should pull my weight to not be spoiled. It all culminated last night. After another one of his, I take great care of you and the kids and we should have a 3rd monologues, I snapped. I told him that he really doesn't. The kids barely know him. And when he comes home from work, he doesn't pay attention to them, except to snap at our daughter when she's too loud. He doesn't know anything about our days because he doesn't ask, and I stopped telling him because he wasn't listening anyway. I said he is not a great father nor husband as he likes to preach, and I have no desire to be a single mom of a 3rd child. 2 are quite enough, thank you. He stared at me dumbfounded, then called me a C-word, delusional and ungrateful before storming out to his mother's house. So, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You're being realistic about your limits, and it's completely fair to prioritize your well-being and that of your existing children. From what you've described, you're already handling the vast majority of the household and parenting responsibilities. Adding another child to the mix without adequate support would only add more stress and make things harder for you. Your husband's reaction, calling you names and storming out, is not acceptable or constructive. Instead of listening to your concerns, he dismissed them and invalidated your feelings. Marriage and parenting should be partnerships, and it sounds like you're not getting the support you need. You're not ungrateful or delusional for wanting to maintain some balance in your life. Standing up for yourself and setting boundaries is essential, especially when your mental and emotional health is at stake. Hopefully, he can take some time to reflect and realize the weight of what you're saying. You're doing what's best for yourself and your family, and that's nothing to feel guilty about. Not the a-hole. I am sorry, but your marriage seems miserable. It's like your husband is living in 1950, and seeing the age you married him is not surprising. He found someone very young to fulfill his picket fence dream and doesn't care if you're happy or not. If he's such a great provider, why is she working part-time? Has anyone else noticed that her husband married her when he was 30 and she was 18 to 19 years old? Those are such different points in life. He dated her when she was likely a child and married her when she was barely an adult. He has delusions of being a good husband and father, forcing more responsibility onto her. He's just trying to control her life more without any regard for her happiness or being a supportive partner. Not the a-hole, but OP, you need to see how abusive this situation is and how it puts you in danger. Edit/mini update. For clarification, I married my husband when I was 18. We dated for 9 months. I turned 31 a few days ago and can't imagine being attracted to an 18-year-old, let alone marrying one. But I didn't think like that back then. Whatever happens with my marriage, I am not having another child. I won't change my mind when it comes to that. I am in birth control, but I also have no desire to have sex with my husband after how he reacted and treated me. I don't have parents, and I really don't want to go to friends with this. I called my sister and told her everything. A lot of the things you guys said in the comments, she has been saying for years. She showed up with food, wine, and her husband. My brother-in-law took my kids to their house for a sleepover, and my sister stayed with me. My husband is still with his parents and hasn't called or texted. My mother-in-law called, but I didn't pick up. I'm too angry and sad to have a conversation with her right now. Thank you, everyone, for commenting and giving me advice. It really means a lot.